Greetings, y'all. Welcome to another video. I am your host, Steve. Did that break anybody's windows while they were watching? Because that's what it was supposed to do. Oh well, I failed again. Anyways, so today I got a lot to go through. Basically what this video is going to be is just all these different pickups that I've made through the years that didn't pop up in another video. I just wanted to kind of sort of catch you up on other miscellaneous, stuff that I've added to my collection over the course of the last year. So let us just dive right in. 1982, we get Richard and Linda Thompson's album, Shoot Out the Lights. This is their final album together as a musical entity, I believe. They'd had some, a bit of success before this. They're kind of they're from Britain, kind of like a folk rock kind of act, I guess. I don't know if they were kind of lumped in. This came out in '82. I don't know if at that point they were kind of being lumped in, maybe with new wave, perhaps. I don't really know. But I think I heard one of their songs, and this just seemed like one of those albums that I kept seeing mentioned places and just decided, a lot of these people are raving about this album. Let me pick it up. That's a lot of times I'll do that when it's like this one record where people are just like, this is a classic, everybody should own this, one of those kinds of things. Sample a little bit of it first, and then if I like what I'm hearing, then I'll, go out and see if I can find it, at a reasonable price. I picked this one up on eBay, and I've listened to it a few times, but off the top of my head, I can't remember specifically what songs here that I like, but I did enjoy this record. I'm glad I picked this up. I understand now why so many people have been raving about this. 2007, we get the Len Price 3, and there is no Len Price in this album. It's one of those kinds of deals. They thought they were getting one over on us, right? Another eBay pickup, kind of a rock band from, I think they're from the UK, but they must be from the UK. They have a very, very heavy, like Who, like modish, kind of like Who influence, or Kinks, early Kinks kind of sound to them. Really stands out, but again, this is one of those albums I heard, I don't remember where, somebody maybe posted a song by this band or whatever, and I kind of liked it, and I instantly recognized that kind of Who, Kinks influence, and so I think just based on that one song that I heard, I decided to look on eBay, see if I could get this really cheap, and I found it fairly cheap and in good condition and picked it up. The song that I had heard that tipped me off about this band and decided to pick up this album was called Sailor's Sweetheart. That's on here, but yeah, really good. And there's got this big hype sticker on it. Kurt Loder from MTV back in the day raving about this album, which I don't know if that helped sales or not, but I guess that could go either way, right? 1997, another eBay purchase. We get Les Save Five and their album 3/5. This is their debut album, and just got this one today in the mail. There's another one coming up that I just got today. So I haven't had a lot of time to listen to it. So I listened to a few tracks on here. I like it. I like this band. I have most of their albums. I just saw them live pretty recently. They're from New York. That's where I saw them, in New York. A good band, kind of like art punk, a little bit of hardcore sound to them. If you can see the cover here, it looks like these shower caps and all this stuff. Apparently the album, when it was originally issued on vinyl, when it came out, it was packed with like these shower caps, and now they're just kind of recreating it for the CD. But yeah, good band. I really like them a lot. Like I said, just kind of this like art punk, noise punk thing. If you like them, I highly recommend, if you get the chance, go see them live. Man, it is a show for sure. Dude, the lead singer showed up dressed up like Santa Claus. Yeah, it was just one of those crazy kind of felt like old days punk shows. Really liked it. But yeah, cool band, Les Savait Fav. 1999, another eBay purchase. I'm kind of trying to group all these where I got them from. So this is the last of the eBay purchases. This is Mental as Anything and their album the best of Mental as Anything. Australian band, kind of lumped in with like that new wave band. They're, you know, in the 80s and stuff. They might have started in like 79. I don't know, remember exactly, but you know, the 80s is kind of when they became pretty popular. Certainly in Australia, a little bit of success here in the United States. I first heard them in 1985, their song Live It Up, which got a bit of video and some radio airplay. It's a great song. I mean, it's just as catchy as can be. I love it to this day. It's like when I hear it now, it's like the first time I heard it. You know, liner notes, you can see you got all the different album covers and stuff. But I really love that song, and when I heard it, I became a fan and went out and bought the cassette that song was on. It was on the album Fundamental, and then it later showed up in the Crocodile Dundee movie, which kind of gave it some new life a year later. But fun band, like I said, new wave, but a little quirky, you know, a little kind of bit of sense of humor to them. You almost expect that from like an Australian band in a way. This is a collection of all their tracks up to that time, just like Romeo and Juliet's a really good one. You're So Strong's really good. They do a cover of rock and roll music that's good. Mr. Natural's pretty good. Yeah, I like this band. If you're into new wave, you've never really heard of them. Like I said, they had minor success here in the United States. But if you're not familiar with them and you like that new wave, I highly recommend you checking these guys out. 2013, we get the album Sad Boys by the band Surf Curse. And this one, I don't have anything physical for it. I bought this digitally off of Bandcamp. Actually, the next two I bought digitally off of Bandcamp. And both of these came from, there's this comedian who I think is pretty funny. Her name is Jamie Lee. She writes for the Ted Lasso show, which I'm not that familiar with. I've seen an episode or two, but I follow her on Instagram. I think she's pretty funny. I originally saw her initially on a TV show called Crashing that was on HBO years ago. But I follow her on Instagram, and she always posts like really good music with her little story things or whatever. And that's how I discovered this band, Surf Curse. She had played one of their songs with whatever video of her doing whatever. And I really liked it. And so I looked it up on Bandcamp, found it, bought it, and I really like it. There's a couple tracks, Reality Bites, and the other one I think is Forever Dumb. Forever Dumb I think is the one that she posted, but those two I really like. Kind of like garage rock, indie rock, kind of jangly kind of sound to them. But really good. I like this band a lot. I tried to get it physically, the album on vinyl or CD, and just impossible, couldn't at all. But yeah, check them out, Surf Curse. 2020, we get the band Orbit and their album Vapor Trails. And again, this is another one that I kind of picked up from Jamie Lee, one of her posts. She put a song called Web in Front by them on one of her posts, and I really dug it. Again, another like kind of garage indie rock sound. Almost, if I didn't know any better, I would swear this was like some band from like the late 70s, New York City, that punk scene, you know, it sounds like that. But yeah, really good band, you know, I really like this one. And this one, again, I bought it digitally on Bandcamp, and I'm assuming, I can't remember, but I'm guessing that since I don't own it physically, I couldn't get it physically, you know. So, you know, what can you do? There's bands that like these indie bands like this at this level in this day and age, a lot of them, you know, you find a lot of these sometimes are kind of skipping the physical media, releases and just putting it out on Bandcamp. It makes sense, but you know, it's nice to have, you know, us, you know, we like the physical media. I wish I could get a copy of this physically, but who knows, maybe someday. 1988 brings us the Van Halen album OU812. You know, as a lot of you probably know, I grew up a big Van Halen fan. Not that much this lineup, but the original band. But nevertheless, I stuck with picking up their releases when they came out, even though the original band had split up. I got this originally on cassette, and then a few years later picked it up on CD. Never owned it on vinyl, and just recently, I shouldn't say recently, I got this months ago, but when I picked this up on vinyl, I don't know, for some reason I'd stopped collecting Van Halen stuff or whatever, and wasn't looking for anything, but I don't know, I just had this urge to finally pick this up on vinyl. It's since now been remastered and re-released on vinyl. I think in October they put it out, but when I got this earlier in the year, that wasn't on the table. Nobody knew if that was going to happen, and so the only way to get this was, you know, trying to find somebody who had a copy. So just one day, and I never look on Craigslist really for albums, but one day I just, for some reason, I just happened to go on Craigslist to see if somebody was selling anything, CDs, whatever, and I just found this dude. His name was Jim, and he just happened to be getting rid of like all his vinyl, selling everything, and he had this listed. He had it, and it's, you know, still in shrink wrap, still has the hype sticker, still has the price tags from Disco Mat, $8.49. And I think he wanted $50 for this. And so I picked it up. And again, you know, when I got this, there was no sign that this was going to be remastered and reissued later in the year or anything like that. So $50 for a copy in this good condition, you know, seemed like not a bad deal. Although it still was a little more than I really wanted to pay, but you know. So I went there to pick it up, and he had, you know, again, like I said, he was getting rid of everything, and he was a cool dude. He had like a lot of great stories. He'd spent a lot of time in New York with, you know, crossing paths with a lot of different like famous musicians, old punk bands and shit like that. So, you know, we sat there and talked for like an hour or hour and a half, you know, just, he was just telling me all these stories. I was like, dude, you ought to write a book, you know, you really should. But it was really cool. So I finally got this one, you know, and I mean, like I said, it's, you know, everybody's familiar with this, and, you know, it's a pretty good record. I mean, I like the first two albums they did with Hagar. I enjoy those. Those two are pretty good. The other two, you know, they're decent. Like the last one they did with him, at Balance, I wasn't that crazy about. I've never been that crazy about. It's all right. It sounds like a band that's sick and tired of each other, kind of. But you know, these first two I kind of like. People complain about the sounds on these and everything, but I've never had a big problem with them. I get what they're talking about, like we can't hear the bass and all that stuff, but I don't know. That's, you know, I'm not a musician. I'm not really an audiophile, and I've never really had that kind of issue listening to those. So anyways, while I'm there talking to this dude, and he's got all these other records, I'm like, well, I might as well look to see if he has anything else that I might be interested in. And guess what? He did. And it was U2's Rattle and Hum, also from 1988. I picked this up when it originally came out on CD, like probably the day it came out. And I like it. It's kind of a quasi live record studio album. It was their follow-up to Joshua Tree, which was like, you know, the album that kind of made them this massive band. And I like this record a lot. I don't know if people are really that fond of it anymore. I mean, it was a big hit when it came out, but, you know, looking back, people kind of start like reevaluating things. I don't know if you can see all this. But I liked it then. I still like it now. There's a lot of really good tracks on here. So he had this one as well. This one wasn't $50. I think he sold me this one for like 20 or something, and it's in really good condition. So I grabbed it. It wasn't really something I was looking for, but, you know, I was there and he had it, and it just, you know, I was just like, yeah, why not? But it's like I said, it's a really, really good record. There's the inner sleeve there. I'll show you one of the records. So it's a double vinyl. And since it's a double vinyl, you got 4 sides. Every band member gets their little moment in the sun on the label there. But it's, you know, some of the tracks on here, you know, they do a cover of Helter Skelter, which I like. Desire was the first single, very popular. Hawk Moon 269, I really love. Angel of Harlem. God Part 2, All I Want Is You is on here, is really good. But yeah, excellent album by U2. I really like this. 2001, we get the White Stripes and their album White Blood Cells. I believe this is their third album. This is the only White Stripes album I own. I like them, but I've never had a big desire to collect their stuff. And this one came from a Goodwill in West Virginia. I was working in West Virginia, popped into the Goodwill, found this there for probably 99 cents and grabbed it up. It's in good condition. Yeah, I like this. I mean, like I said, I like them. I just never had a big desire to collect their stuff because, I don't know, they're not a band that I'm like really ever like itching to listen to that much, you know, like a song will come on and be like, yeah, this is good, but I'll never like feel like I want to put on a whole White Stripes album. If I was going to own any of their albums, I feel like this would be the one to pick up. Dead Leaves and Dirty Grounds, really good. Hotel Yorba, and obviously Fell in Love with the Girls on here. That was the song that really introduced me to them, probably introduced them to a lot of people. That was because of the video. I think it was Michel Gondry made that video. It was like the Lego animation or whatever. And it's a good song, you know, but you know, everybody's familiar with these guys, and obviously Jack White has gone on to have a million bands and a million solo releases and record stores and on and on and on and on. 2004, Old 97s and their album Drag It Up. This one came from that very same Goodwill in West Virginia. Picked this one up as well. I had one other record by the Old 97s and liked it. I saw the lead singer, his name is Rhett Miller. I saw him live at the Stone Pony one summer a couple of years ago. I think he played with Nicole Atkins. It was a good show. I liked it. But, you know, they're good. I mean, you know, kind of like alternative rock, a little bit of kind of a little bit of a country twinge to them. But pretty good record. Like, again, I didn't know anything from this album, just grabbed it because it was 99 cents and figured why not. I was kind of in that frame of mind where it was just like, that's too cheap to just pass up whether I know it or not. So I grabbed it, and yeah, I like it. I mean, you know, it's like that Americana rock heartland kind of stuff. These guys I think are from Dallas. I think the tune New Kid on here is my favorite. I remember, I feel for some reason I think that's the one. I've listened to it a few times, but it's slipping my mind. Yeah, good pickup. 1985, we get Phil, Mr. Collins, and his album No Jacket Required. Have you ever heard of this? I don't know if any of you are familiar with this artist or this album. You know, it's kind of a little obscure, but you should check them out if you've never heard of them. I mean, I don't know. I think this didn't really sell well, and I don't even know what happened to this guy. But yeah, I highly recommend it if you like that kind of 80s pop rock sound. Top 40, very polished, you know, stuff. Like so many of these songs sounds like they should have been released as singles. I think if they had released these as singles, they probably would have hit the top 40. Sussudio, I mean, that sounds like it could have been like a #1 song. One More Night, their ballad, I mean, that thing could have exploded on like an adult contemporary record. Don't Lose My Number, Take Me Home, that sounds like it could have been a top 40 hit. I don't know what the hell. This was on Atlantic. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why. I don't know. They could have released half of this album as singles and it probably would have sold well, but instead it just disappeared, never to be heard of again. And I don't know. Doesn't make any sense, but really should check this one out. I really highly recommend if you like kind of like top 40 rock pop songs. Check out this dude, Phil Collins. You know, I think he maybe plays the drums as well. 1995, we get the Voodoo Glow Skulls and their album Firme. I don't know. Firm. I don't know how to pronounce that. If you're not familiar with them, I'm sure just by the name of the band alone, you can probably tell they're like ska punk, or even by the album cover maybe. But cool band. I wasn't that familiar with them. It's like I was familiar with them. I knew the band. I knew of them. I was very familiar of the name, especially the mid-90s. You know, you'd hear their name. I was living in Southern California at the time, so You know, they actually headlined a show that I went to, but I didn't see them. This and the Phil Collins was from Goodwill in South Carolina when I was working down there. But it was 99 cents, and I didn't own anything by them. It just was like, you know, why not? I'll pick it up. And it's good. I like it, you know. I mean, it's, you know, typical ska, punk stuff. But yeah, not a bad pickup. Let me know if you're familiar with these guys, if you ever saw them live or anything like that. I'd be curious. 1997, we get the band The Refreshments out of Tempe, Arizona, and their second and final album, The Bottle and Fresh Horses. I had their first album, which I think is called like Big Fuzzy, I don't even remember, whatever. But it was a popular tune off of that called Banditos. And I have that album, picked it up not too long ago, actually. But really good. I like that. And then when I saw this there at the Goodwill in South Carolina for 99 cents, I just decided to take a shot on it. Why not? And it's good. It's like a little bit more of the same. I don't know what the story was, why after this record the band ceased to be. I don't know if they've reunited at all and played live shows or whatever, but it's just another chock full of like kind of alternative rock tunes, really catchy. Fun band. I like this. 1996, we get the Lemonheads and their album Car Button Cloth. This followed up, like they had two really popular albums in the 90s, and this was the follow-up to those two, and I think this didn't do that great, and the band kind of took a sort of leave of absence for a while. A couple, like, I don't know, a long time went by before they put out another record. They put out a few more since. I think a couple of band members have kind of like come and gone. But you know, they're good. I like them. Classic alternative rock, college rock, you know, if you're familiar with them. But this was a good one. Again, 99 cents at that Goodwill in South Carolina. I have like maybe 4 Lemonheads records, and I think like the last one I picked up was, it might have been I don't know if it was an earlier one or it might have even been one after this, I don't know, but I wasn't that crazy about it, and I kind of was like, all right, maybe we'll call it a day on picking up these Lemonhead albums. But when I saw this one there and I saw that it was 96, it was closer to those 2 albums that I like that were real popular, I just kind of said what the hell and picked it up. But this one ended up being not bad. I like this one. 1974, we get Jimmy Cliff and his album Music Maker on the Wounded Bird Records label. They reissued a lot of albums that never were released on CD in the like early mid 2000s, and I've been looking for this record for a long time. I've seen it maybe one, it pops up on, I bought this on Discogs. I should probably say that first. I got this on Discogs. I think it cost me maybe 20 bucks. This thing, I would see it on eBay, I'd see it on Discogs, and people always wanted like $75 for it, whatever. It's out of print, and I was never going to pay that much for this. I saw it one time in a record store at Princeton Record Exchange in New Jersey, and they had it, and I think they were asking 50 bucks, and I asked the dude, like, you know, hey man, I don't want to pay 50 bucks, but I understand why you're asking 50 bucks. Could you work with me a little bit? And he was cool, but he was like, I just put that out. I got to let it sit for a little bit with that price before I start negotiating. So I understand that. So I passed on it and just kind of always been looking and looking and looking. And then finally it popped up on Discogs recently, and the dude only wanted 20 bucks, which surprised me. So I snatched it up. I mean, you know, 20 bucks is not bad for a rare record, out of print, hard to find CD. It's in perfect condition. So yeah, and it's really good. I mean, if you like Jimmy Cliff, obviously reggae, I don't know if I even need to say that. Wounded Bird, they didn't do a whole lot when they did these reissues, you know, no like liner notes or anything like that. There are other reissue labels. Rubellin Remasters is one I'm thinking of, that they put a bit more work into their reissues with liner notes and stuff, cool stuff like that. But these are Wounded Bird ones are always usually pretty basic, but who cares? At least it's on CD. But I like this one a lot. You know, I Want You to Know, Brother's really good. House of Exiles, awesome. #1 Ripoff Man. Money Won't Save You, Music Maker. Yeah, just, you know, I love Jimmy Cliff. I've been a fan of his for years. I mean, when I got into reggae, it was probably 1986, and really got into it through the movie Club Paradise, which Jimmy Cliff starred in and did the soundtrack for. So, you know, he's been like, you know, somebody I've been a fan of pretty much since I started listening to reggae. And glad to finally remove this from my want list and now have it in the collection. 1990, we've got the Dead Milkmen and their album Metaphysical Graffiti. This one I got as a gift from my sister-in-law, Jen. Gave me this. She went to some record store, I think in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and they had this, and she picked it up for me, which was cool. And I love the Dead Milkmen. Seen them live a bunch of times. Love all their records. There's a couple of them I have them, all of them on like CD. There's a couple I don't have, and I only have maybe one. I think I have one other album on vinyl, so this is the only second one I have on vinyl. Of course, they're parodying the Led Zeppelin cover there. Good record. You know, this is a reissue, so it's on whatever, 180 gram, and all the little bells and whistles are in here. I think it even comes with this, yeah, there we go, the Methodist coloring book, which I don't know originally if it came with this or if this was like a promo that they put out, the record label put out. I don't know if the original vinyl had this in it, but yeah, there you go. Just some coloring if you want. But great band, quirky band. Oh, this also comes with a 7-inch, Cousin Earl 7-inch with a few tunes. I don't know if these are like B-sides or whatever. Forgot. Like this, yeah, so this little package, you know, you get a whole bunch of fun stuff. It's on this weird little marble-ish, greenish kind of color. Yeah, this is another great record by them. You know, punk band, have a good sense of humor. They're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of my favorite tracks on here, or one of my favorite tracks by the band is on here, Do the Brown Nose. I love that one. Then you've got If You Love Somebody, Set Them on Fire, which is really good. In Praise of Sha Na Na is another good one. But yeah, classic record by this band. Always fun to have. I don't know if I should start, I don't know. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and start buying all their stuff on vinyl, you know. 1996, we get Frente and their second and final album, Shape. Not unlike the Refreshments earlier. We spoke about second and final album with them. We got the second and final here with Frente. Kind of a alternative band. Had a little bit of success here in the United States back in the 90s. I like them. And I had their first album and really liked that. And just, I don't know, it was one of those things, like it never crossed my mind to seek out and pick up any other albums by them. I didn't even know there was only one other one. So then one day I was in Jack's Music Shop in Red Bank, New Jersey. That's right down the street. I live right down the street from. It's an awesome record store. And saw this there and just instantly picked it up and grabbed it. And it's good. You know, it's just a lot of catchy alternative rock songs. Just a cool band. I don't know what happened, what the story was, why they split up. I don't know if they've ever gotten back together and done any shows or anything like that, but yeah, cool band. I like them. And finally, from 1984, we made it, folks. I had all these records to show you. We finally made it to the end. Another pickup from Jack's, same visit. I was in there when I picked up that Frente record. I picked up the Reggae Greats from Steel Pulse from 1984. Good band. I didn't own anything by them, and they're one of those bands I kept hearing people talk about or mention, or I think even maybe like JT from a good old Reno, Nevada, maybe was talking about them one time, and I was like, man, I don't own anything by Steel Pulse. I should pick something up. And saw this there at Jack's and grabbed it. Felt like that would probably be a good place to start. Just a collection of a bunch of their songs, singles. And I was down in Florida working, and Steel Pulse, the version of Steel Pulse that exists now, came through town. So I went over there, like walked over on a Friday night. They were playing like outdoors in this little, like small little amphitheater in this town. And, you know, checked them out. It was a great show. Really liked it. But, yeah, good band. You know, if you're into reggae, you don't have any Steel Pulse, you know, this is a good one to add to your collection. On Mango Records, I guess a arm of Island Records. But yeah, so that is everything. That catches us all up with 2023. And yeah, by all means, let me know about any of this stuff. I know there's a lot to go through. I hope this video doesn't end up being too long. I'm gonna try to chop it down and make it as short as possible. But yeah, I really appreciate you all tuning in and leaving comments. And you know, hope you enjoy checking out my music collection here. I enjoy sharing it with you. It's a fun thing to do. You know, we enjoy just kind of like going like, here, I got this, I got that, you know, see what's in the collection, what we're adding and such. But thanks again for tuning in. By all means, leave a comment. Love to hear from you, and shall see you another time. Later, y'all.